Yes, we are, boys and girls. Welcome to the latest episode of the Crafty Boys, where a bunch of cool dudes sit around, drink beer, and talk about shit. So, there you go. That's basically the premise of the show. We can't guarantee any type of quality other than pure awesomeness. I'm Shane. Dave's over there. Alan's right there. And Locke is over the... Shit. Over there! I've been practicing all week.
It looks like
so. Welcome. Hi guys, how's it going?
Hey, going very, very well.
nice.
The hell was that? Did I hear a doorbell?
Yeah, my doorbell just rang. I'll be back.
That's
It'll be
so weird. The entire show brought to a halt because somebody's doorbell rang. So, how's it going, boys? So, how's Toronto? What's going on in Toronto? There, you surviving?
Toronto's good. Rainy today. Not a whole lot to report. I saw a few People's Party of Canada campaigners out on the corner a few days ago. That was funny. They seem to be taking a lot of abuse from the passers-by.
Well, I would hope so, because their entire platform is based... I mean, I can summarize their entire platform just like this. Me! No one cares about me! So there you go. Welcome to the People's Party of Canada. I don't know. I gotta say. So what do we all think of this whole $600 million cabinet reshuffle, as it's being called? Are you guys on board? Who cares?
I know nothing about this. You're the first person that's mentioned it to me. I had no idea it was even.
I think I will say that the $600 million stimulus package, which has been brought to us by the...
That's true. A lot of printers getting paid. A lot of marketing people getting paid.
We know the Liberals like paying their advertising folks, in good currency.
Hey, and my lady did some time for the elections, so hey, there's somebody that got paid.
Yeah, no, look,
exactly.
Realistically, that is how the game is played. And was it... I mean, if he'd gotten a majority, it would have been easier to justify the election. It would have been easier to win the election if... Well, if it hadn't cost $600 million, or if he'd called it at an appropriate time. So in a sense, it's sort of like, well, okay, what did you accomplish there? Well, okay, so the Liberals have bought themselves another couple of years of what will likely be a minority government, which is fine. I totally support that. I think minority governments are probably a better answer most of the time anyway, because when one party gets majority, then you just get a whole fuck of a lot of whatever stupid crap they want to do. And frankly, none of the parties in this country are sufficiently right about everything that I'm good with that plan. So there you go. Whatever. It's fine.
Yeah. Whatever, right? Just drink them if you got them.
I think it was probably useful for what it will signal. Two very useful things. One, it will clarify to the Conservatives that no, their current guy is not the one. So they'll have to select a new leader. Same thing will happen with the Greens. I think Jagmeet did okay, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, so he's probably. I mean, nobody expects the NDP to win anything anyway. So,
Not federally anyway.
Yeah. So ultimately, I think it's probably it's par for the course, and I don't really have a problem with it. Like I said, it's a $600 million stimulus package for printers and advertising firms.
Sure. All right, so let's move on to some beer before we start lambasting the entire political system of our country again. So, Dave, we're starting with you. What are you drinking, man?
I managed to find myself this guy.
Nice.
Black cherry.
I want to know what that is. What is that? Oh, Spinnakers.
Yeah.
Black cherry.
Yeah, it was
soda.
Found it at a co-op grocery of all places.
Oh, you don't say, huh?
Oh. I do indeed, sir. I do.
Huh.
And they had.
I do, sir. I do say indeed.
They had a few.
And if you accuse me of that again.
The first time I found these, they had what I think it was 3 or 4 flavors down at the game shop downtown, and they actually got 5, 6 flavors at least, maybe 7.
How
I was able to get.
I know you've tried one other one on this show. How many? How many have you tried? You tried the cola before, right?
Okay, I got to remember what I was able to get at the Game Store. I think I had the ginger beer there, the cola. I think you're right, which I had on the show, and this guy here, the black cherry. And so that's it out of all of them. I figure, whatever. I'll just do them all.
Dave, if I forget that there's a beer that I've already drunk on this show, I can be forgiven because I was drunk. What would be your excuse?
Shit memory.
Sugar high.
There you go. Sugar high.
Too much sugar.
Diabetic coma.
Yeah. There you go. Well, hey, it's a tall boy. It is a tall boy. 470. 470.
Wow. Take it easy there, Dave.
Yeah, settle down, man.
You're getting all rowdy over here. 473 is what this is. So I think it's basically a tall boy.
All right. So is it any good?
Yeah.
Like, how does it measure up to the other black cherry things that you've had? Like, you had the Pop Shop. You had one from somewhere else.
This one isn't quite as sweet.
Okay.
I guess it's
the
main thing. Definitely cherry. And hey,
Okay.
I'm always a sucker for cherry flavor.
You can never go wrong with cherry flavor. Well done, well done.
Well, I don't know. I'm remembering back. I think there's been at least a beer, if not a couple, that we've tried in years past, and it was cherry. And we were all like, yeah, not so much.
No?
I honestly, I can't remember. Hoyne.
Oh, Hoyne's Entre Nous.
I don't remember
Yes.
much.
There you go. There you go. Yes. That one, I don't know if that one really did it for anybody. I think that was kind of a miss.
It was a bit disappointing, I'll admit. But you know what? It has an audience. Like, people love it when it comes out, and they go.
Well, is that a seasonal, or is that a regular?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a special release thing. And actually, I mean, to be fair, maybe we should give it another shake, because like next time it comes out, because it can vary from year to year. These special releases, right? So
fair.
True.
That's fair.
All right, so Locke, what are you drinking this evening?
So this evening, I am drinking a Muskoka Brewery product. It is a seasonal item.
This is a very colorful can.
It is their Harvest Ale to celebrate the harvest season being fall.
That is true. Today is the first day.
it says Muskoka Brewery, established 1996. The All-Ontario Harvest Ale, Strong Ale. Strong Ale.
Make it strong.
Farmer strong. Like you would need to do if you were harvesting things. To mark the end of growing season, we raise a glass to celebrate the hardworking farmers and suppliers as a nod to our local fall harvest. We're proud to make this brew with all Ontario ingredients. The yeast is from Escarpment Laboratories in Guelph. The hops are the Hey-Ho hops from Aylmer. And
They're called Hey-Ho hops.
Hey-Ho hops. Hey-Ho hops, yeah. And Barnell malt from Belleville, Ontario. And Simcoe County malt from South Simcoe. About 6% alcohol per volume. And let me tell you that it is delicious.
Is that what it says on the can, or is that what you're saying?
So this is a Rheinskobold friendly beer, so it conforms to that 1516 beer law that says that beer must be made by the ingredients of barley, hops, and they don't usually, in the Rheinskobold, they didn't mention yeast because they didn't know how those things worked back then. But water, hops, yeast.
Okay.
Barley, hops, yeast. Yeah. So anyway, so it's good. It tastes like beer. It's a sort of a maltier kind of a flavor.
Okay.
Has a little bit the character of a wee heavy, if you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that we have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am not going to argue about that. That's actually quite a decent product. Pardon me. I'm parched. I need to drink some beer. So tonight, I'm going to be drinking Red Rose tea. No, I'm kidding. That was only for Dave. Tonight, Alan and myself... Oh my god, I just about dropped the can because it's so incredibly wet. This is the backcountry, I think I'm getting the black lung pop, which of course is a reference to Zoolander, where the character goes into the mines for about 10 minutes and then decides he's going to have the black lung. So this beer, Alan has...
It's a merman! Merman!
I like that film. I didn't like the sequel all that much, but
No, the sequel sucked.
The first
So sorry. Was that not a reference to Cabin in the Woods?
No.
No.
Then Cabin in the Woods made a reference to whatever the hell you guys were just referring to. What the hell was
Zoolander.
Zoolander. I've never seen Zoolander.
Oh my god!
Oh, you haven't? It's
you need to
it's
watch
a Ben
it.
Stein flick from
What?
the mid
Ben
90s,
Stiller. Ben Stiller, not Ben Stein.
So not Ben Stein, yeah. So anyway, so this is from Backcountry Brewing. I think I'm getting the Black Lung Pop. It is a strong beer. Gallery. Yep. Cool. Watch out there. So what it says in the can here would be really great if I could, have some light. There we go. Who's winning the match? You don't need a perfect bone structure and gelled hair to enjoy this beverage at the mine shaft. Whether you've been underground for 30 years or one day, you'll be sure to dairy like this. What? Dairy like? What? I don't understand. Am I missing something there? That's okay. Who am I? It's an IPA. It has beer in it. It's 6.7% alcohol, 472 liters. Liters.
Wow.
Alan and I are going to have a really long night. So here you go. This is what it looks like. It's a very hazy beer. It's like
Incredibly.
opaque. It looks like it's like a nectarine got beat up in an alleyway and turned into beer. But I'm sure that's not what it tastes like. It has hops that are punching my nasal passages into submission.
I'm a little bit stuffed up, so I can't really smell anything. But I think that's on me.
COVID!
That's not on the
COVID!
beer. Shut up.
That is one hazy-looking beverage.
It is incredibly hazy.
That is very delicious, though.
Now, this isn't the hazy pale ale or anything. This is
No.
dubbed as an IPA. We don't happen to have an IBU rating on this, do we?
I'm just funny you should ask. I'm actually looking this up. I am getting.
Oh yes, it's right here on the can. 30.
Oh, thank you. Getting old, boys. Getting old.
Getting old.
So this particular beer, I give it a thumbs up. Alan?
Yeah, me too. It's really tasty.
It's very, very hoppy, very, very juicy, I think, and I'm not unliking this beer. I am liking.
Not my favorite IPA that I've ever had. I could name.
What are you getting on the back end? Like, what are you getting on like the flavor at the end there?
There's a little bit of bitterness, but not a lot.
Yeah.
I prefer more.
Okay.
But if you're into like the hazy IPA kind of thing, this is probably going to be your jam. I prefer something like a Fat Tug or Fresh Squeezed or something like that. But this is still pretty good.
What describe the flavor? Like what is it? Sweet? Is it dry? Is it?
It's a little bit. It has a sweetness to it, a little bit, but not a lot. It's not dry.
Okay.
It has sort of like a typical IPA kind of flavor that you would expect. It's maybe dulled a little bit. I would like something that's a little bit hoppier, something that's a little bit more bitter. But that doesn't mean it's not enjoyable. It absolutely is, and it certainly looks good. I mean, it looks amazing. I almost get the feeling like they were trying to copy Superflux here with some of their IPAs. It looks like a Superflux IPA just by as aesthetics, but certainly not in flavor profile. For as far as flavor goes, I mean, Superflux is on another level from this. This is probably like a couple steps below.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Overall, thumbs up. Totally worth it. If you can get it, go get it now. It's gonna go away because all beer does eventually. And I gotta say that not unhappy with this product. All right, boys, let's talk about the election because I know we're going to do it anyway. Dave, who'd you vote for, why, and what's your address?
I voted for Zaphod Beeblebrox.
Nice.
Because why not?
Well, you have to. It's the rules.
Right?
Total rules.
The whole thing's just kind of weird, so whatever.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that Milady decided she was going to work for elections this year, so she's put in a few days doing that. So hearing a little bit about how our fine system of democracy functions. But yeah,
tell us
whatever. It's just weird. It's so weird. And I think a lot of people feel the same way because we're up to our fucking eyeballs in this ridiculous health bullshit. And there's an election been called. Like, what? And the only thing I can remember hearing is apparently Trudeau didn't have an answer for why he decided to pull the trigger. Like, I guess
we already know why he did it, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, there are obviously political strategic elements that make plenty of sense to me. Was it a chance to try to win a majority? Yep. Did the rest of the parties look fucking like they were going to lose? Yep. So would you try something like that? Why not? It didn't work. And I think probably the reason it didn't work is because he decided to gamble with the idea that maybe it would. It's one of those stupid things where if you're standing on the side going, well, are the other parties weak enough that they could lose sufficiently badly that you could win a majority? Yes, totally the case. What would screw that up? I know, calling an election in a manner and on an occasion when the whole country's scratching their heads going, is now really the right time to have an election? So it was sort of, the move made sense until executed, at which point it no longer made sense. I don't know. That said, what it did do, and this is an effective, useful thing to do if you're trying to win, is it does keep him. It gives him another couple of years of relative security, whereby he can, continue to run Canadian politics the way he's doing. Which, is it great? Man, it's okay. I don't like it more or less than his father, and I thought his father was okay. They are the sort of the William Pitt Sr. and Jr. of Canadian politics. Love them or hate them, they're probably going to go down in history smelling like fucking roses. So there you go.
I guess I'd have to agree with that because they are primarily thought of well.
Yeah.
Would you say
internationally
over the long term?
Internationally, they make us look better than we are.
True. I mean, it doesn't really matter because
we're still suffering from a little bit of the Harper hangover, where we were getting fucking laughed at, internationally at every turn. So yes, I'm glad to see Canada's looking good for the international community. Does that mean I think that? Does that mean I agree with everything that he has to say, or his policy directives? No, not strictly speaking, no. But like Pooch the whole vaccine thing. In my view, Canada should have been developing their own vaccine right from the very beginning, not relying on other countries. Or as one of the highly educated English-speaking. Relatively affluent countries on the planet. Why do we constantly lean on a resource economy as the only way to do anything? The smart money surely has to be on the idea that we can generate the vision that the world needs. And take a leadership role. Why are we content to be the drawers of water and the hewers of wood?
Right.
I wonder if it's an attitude that was, I don't know if it was inculcated, but I would point at the Avro Arrow. I don't know if that was the start of this kind of thing for Canada as a country that actually, is willing to kind of put some oomph behind developing something other than, as you're saying, resource-based economy. But I don't know. Because I agree with you. I don't really see a whole lot of interesting, innovative tech that's coming out of this country, that's going to push us in a more modern direction. Let's face it, right? We can't rely on resource-based.
To be clear, we dominated the first decade of the 21st century with BlackBerry. It's just that, ultimately we got outdone by Apple and I guess now Google.
Yep.
And you know what's really pathetic? I just finished Jobs' biography. In it, there is exactly this many mentions of BlackBerry as anything that was on anybody's radar. Like,
oh, of course.
It's,
I mean, don't forget, BlackBerry really dominated the business market for quite some time. Then it leaked into the consumer sort of product line, but they arrived late to the game in a lot of ways. You really had to know what you wanted for a phone. I mean, there were for example, there were products that were text only for a long time. It was just like a device that allowed you to text, and that worked out very well for a lot of people because they didn't really care about the phone part at that point. Then there were people like me that got like those big brickish Motorola things, because Motorola was sort of the phone, that was the brand that people recognized. And then they had like the Motorola Razr flip phone and stuff like that, which really dominated for a long time too. But ultimately, BlackBerry snuck in a little bit late to the game. And then, within a few years of that, that's when the first iPhone came out. And that changed the landscape for phones forever. And I give it to them for that achievement, but they've not really made a great phone forever. Their phones are primarily garbage, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But overall, I mean, the devices themselves are interesting. The software that they've written for it is not, and I really dislike
Sorry, which are we talking about here?
The iPhone.
Apple products, the iPhone.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult to use.
I still think that one of the great tragedies is that the BlackBerry 10 software. I don't know if anybody's even doing anything with it anymore, but it was great. It was fantastic. It was what you wanted. It was the natural evolution for where a handheld device should go, which is to say a handheld laptop that had all the features you would want out of a laptop.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that's happening now, is that we have an ecosystem that's changing away from this size of device or smaller. So like this thing or smaller, but really because I'm a nerd, I tend to watch a lot of stuff about devices. And there's two devices right now that I find quite interesting. There are the foldable phones that are coming out, which I'm not hugely wild about. But the one foldable phone that I really like is actually a Microsoft phone, where Microsoft closed their mobile operating system a few years ago. And this is really the first device they've created that has Android on it. But it's actually like a clamshell phone that looks like you can use it closed, you can flip it open, but it doesn't have the foldable thing. And the problem with the foldable devices at the moment is that stuff gets inside of them and makes the hinges have to be created and built in such a way where they try and keep the dust out and stuff like that. Because you ever gone like hunting in your pocket and pulled out lint and all kinds of garbage from your pockets
all the time.
So that's the thing, is that all that kind of stuff gets into these phones and can break them and damage the screens. But the Microsoft one doesn't really seem to have that issue, or at least as prevalent, just because of the way it's constructed. But would I buy one? Probably not. I'm not. I'm still liking the design of the average phone. Although I ran into a client the other day that actually said, when they called me on the phone, they said, "Hey, I'm calling you from my flip phone," and I thought, "Really, a flip phone? Really? I haven't seen those in a while." There's been a few attempts at reviving like old Nokias from Nokia. I don't know how well they've taken off, but yeah. So I went and met with them the other day, and yeah, sure enough, they've got like an old, Nokia flip-up phone from like 20 odd years ago, and it still works.
Oh, wow.
But the more surprising, it still connects to current networks. I mean, that'll eventually end, but I was actually surprised that a 20-odd-year-old phone is still able to connect to anything. But anyway, yeah. I mean, Dave, what kind of phone have you got? I have no idea. What kind of device are you carrying in your pocket?
I have iPhone 8.
So an 8. So which makes sense because you also have an iMac desktop. So
Yeah,
living
it's
within an
my
ecosystem makes sense, right?
ecosystem. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't blame people for that. I just try and dissuade them from even leaping into that ecosystem at any time. But I mean, like, for example, like my Android phone allows me to connect to Windows 10, and I can actually dial using my computer to actually talk to people. So, which is kind of a cool feature, I think, but a newer-ish feature from the last year or so, but works quite well. I enjoy it. My phone rings. I can answer it on my computer.
I have the frustration that when somebody's trying to call me and I'm currently using my laptop rings.
Well, is that because you have a Mac as well, right?
Yeah.
You can turn that off.
So you can.
No, I will search for that turning off feature at some point.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, my computer started doing that to me too. It's like, what? It's kind of cool in a way.
Call him right now.
Yeah, if you
don't
like, if you're hip deep and doing some work that you really got to get done, and you get this fucking phone call on your computer, that's like, yeah. But then that just kind of points to the, if you don't know what you're doing with your digital shit, it's just going to rule your brain. Let's face it, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I hear people bitching all the time about how, oh my God, life is so hard. I have my phone with me and I feel like I can, people get in touch with me whenever they want to. I don't have control over my time. Turn your fucking phone off.
I totally agree.
Really that simple.
No, I totally agree.
No fucking
It's like,
there are a couple of I've actually had to do that a few times where you get so overwhelmed you have to like escape, and turning off your device is the only way. And I mean, I still do that thing where if I do turn it off, I've made a conscious choice to abandon my phone at home or turn it off in my pocket. But I still do that thing every once in a while. Oh my God, people can't get a hold of me. And then I have to like count to 3 and be like, and that's okay.
See, I have a different problem, and that's the problem of the convergence of devices, which is to say that at this point in my life, I have a device that is my phone, but it's also my alarm clock, and it's also my camera. Mm-hmm. And the idea of walking out the door without my phone pleases me mightily, and I'm happy to do that all the time. The problem is now it means that when I leave without my telephone, I don't have my camera with me.
But think about it. Like 25 years ago, how many times did you leave the house with a camera? Like, did you carry a camera with you all the time?
Yeah, a lot. I am a guy who for one reason or another has been a documentarian, has been a marketing guy, has been for various reasons. Taking pictures is something I do a lot of. But yeah, I mean, answering phone calls, less so. And
well, let me actually show you something that because I've been having this conversation with myself for a little while. In terms of, let me.
Shay's having conversations with himself again.
Yeah, that's right. I'm talking to myself constantly. No, but here, this particular thing is what I think is actually going to break me.
Oh my God!
Of relying on my phone for the thing. Now, specifically, these cameras are underwater cameras. You can take them underwater. They're sealed and all that kind of stuff. I actually have where is it here? Might actually there may not be one because it's an Olympus camera, which Olympus doesn't make cameras anymore. But essentially, it's a camera. I have a camera that looks like this one here, and I've taken it to the Caribbean. I've taken it to a bunch of places. I've taken video and shots underwater and all kinds of stuff, and it works quite well. It's also a device that you can drop. So if I take my phone or drop my phone, you know, like a lot of people, although I tend to have like cases that I've never broken a phone, knock on wood, but I always buy this particular brand of case that makes them fairly bulletproof. But the problem is it's still my phone, it's still a camera, it still does certain things, and I kind of want to have a purpose device for that. So a few years back, I was doing some vlogging training, and I was recording stuff outside quite a bit because I wanted to get out of my house and I wanted to record stuff. The problem was I started doing that in November in Vancouver. So 99% of the time at that time of year, I'm going outside and it's pissing with rain. And it's like, well, I don't really want to take my phone out. And the only other video camera I have is so not waterproof that it would probably last maybe half an hour before it got damaged. So I got invited to Whistler one weekend with a friend of mine to go and like basically talk to Olympus, and then they, you know, toured you around Whistler for a bit. And that was kind of fun, but it was the first time I've been exposed to this camera is designed to be dropped. It's designed to be underwater. It's designed to, like, if you're out in the rain, it's not going to wreck itself. It's totally sealed and it will survive a lot of abuse. I was like, great. So I actually went out and bought one like 6 months later because I'm like, I totally want one of these. And now that camera is, you know, it's a few years old. Actually probably 6 or 7 years old now. So I'm actually looking to get a new one. And I was sad to learn the Olympus got out of the business. They focus on other stuff, I guess. So I've been looking around for a new camera because here's the thing. The lenses may not be the best. The devices may not be the best camera you can get, but they fit in your pocket and you don't have to worry about damaging them because they are really rugged.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would obviously take my phone with me, but I also would like to have this device that I could use without my phone needing to be around. I mean, like Dave, like the cameras you and I have, the SLRs, those would not survive what I'm talking about. And I also want that portability idea, right? So anyway, long story short, yes, there's a place for devices and there's also a place not for devices. And I think that phones, because of the popularity of the cameras and the video recording and all that kind of stuff that you can do with them, that's kind of where those products have gone. And it irritates me a lot of the time when I see reviews of phones where people are talking about, oh yes, and the blah 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 sensor for the camera, this and camera, like, yeah, but does it drop calls like a piece of shit that I've had other phones in the past that they looked great, they took camera photos pretty decently, but it's like it forgets how to make phone calls. Or
Your phone
calls.
Nobody makes phone calls anymore with these phones. That's the problem.
People
don't phone anymore.
Millennials just
stop
text.
Calling them phones.
Well, yeah, no, but
Exactly.
But it's important if you're millennial that you need to text, not make a call, because if you're making a call, you might actually get into a
human being
conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you just text, you're able to be more passive aggressive. Right.
Yeah.
Which is the idea,
right?
The whole point is society is becoming more passive aggressive, and so we want to encourage this as much as possible. So the idea is, you have a device that's really bad at making voice calls, right? Like you can make a better voice call, using a gaming app than you can with an actual, right?
That's hilarious. I agree. It just popped into my head that it's like, you'd be like, what? Hello? Yeah. Oh, you know, like that's so true. You're so bang on, Locke. Because I mean, Discord, you can make phone calls technically.
Yeah.
But you can't call landlines.
And the
But
difference the difference between that and using the network to make a call is that if you use Discord, you'll probably be able to hear what's going on the other end, right? I mean,
and that's the other problem. I mean, actually, the one interesting thing that I'm watching to see how long it takes people to freak out is that Microsoft has already announced, like a year ago, more than a year ago, that they're closing Skype. They're getting rid of it. They're taking the calling components and all that kind of stuff that Skype was built for and rolling it into Microsoft Teams, which is their Google Meet Zoom product. So they're combining that product into one thing. Google has been doing the same thing because they, a few years ago, thought we should divide them up. And then the market was like, why would we do this? And they're like, oh, sorry, let's go back to having a single place for you to do all these things for communication. And so all these companies that have these products are doing this whole wrapping things up into a single product again. But that left Microsoft with Skype and Microsoft Teams, which they really wanted people to use, but no one really wanted to because it sucked. And then they were like, well, if we take Skype and jam it in here, then that solves our problem. So yeah, I mean, I used Google Hangouts for years, dialing all the time to everywhere in North America for nothing. And that's now been retired and gone away, and eventually it'll make it into Google Meet, from what I've been told and read. So, but essentially, I mean, that's this whole sort of thing is how do these products survive and make money and la-da-da-da-da. And yet, even though you can make phone calls or video calls or whatever you want to do with these other products, they still require some sort of mobile app device that is able to talk to a cellular network. So would you equate a video call, like let's pretend we're on a video call right now, that is just a private sort of everyday thing that we do, would you equate this to being like a phone call, would you say? Or even if it was audio only? If it was audio only, the same sort of question.
Yeah, I would think
would it
so.
still be a
Basically
phone call?
is, right? It's just it's the four of us, so I think I kind of see where you're going. Like typically with a phone call, generally you're just talking one-on-one, right? You're not talking with a little group of people.
Well, you have three-way calling.
Yeah,
conference calls.
Conference calls are standard. Yeah, if you're in business, conference calls are just standard.
Yeah,
have been for several decades. Now that Zoom calls exist, is it an extra pain in the ass to have camera function as well? I don't know.
I think it is, yeah. It adds a level of complexity, not necessarily in the technological sense, but in the end user sense, because I have calls, I have meetings with people all the time that have really crappy cameras. So the cameras are really poor quality. They're like, we're talking like, a laptop 5-6 years ago. So in the last, 18 months, almost 24 months now that we've had this pandemic running around, it's become really evident of who actually has bargain basement hardware versus stuff that I would consider buying. So, like they buy a laptop for $499 or $399, and then expect it to do everything a $1,500 or $2,000 machine is going to do when it simply can't. And then they wonder why their camera looks so shitty or whatever, right? So it's just one of those things that really it surprises me that with the range of technology that people can purchase at the average everyday computer store, they go for the lower end stuff and expect it to perform better than it's been designed to do. And now that's become really, really obvious. Like I challenge you to find a $400 computer right now that's worth anything. I mean, you may as well buy a cell phone for a couple $100 more, and it'll have better camera, it'll have better sound, it'll have a better everything. So, I mean, sure, it doesn't have a keyboard or a mouse, but, what are you going for?
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. As you can tell, I work in that industry.
One of the things that I liked about the old Blackberry 10s was that you could add a keyboard and a mouse.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of like what happened with VHS and beta. VHS didn't win because it was better. VHS won because it was cheaper.
Dave.
There's a standard that I could have given us a digital world that I think could have been a better one, but it doesn't matter. It's water under the bridge now, because how would you retrieve it? Like, what would you do to bring it back? I mean, maybe if for people who are like full Linux box kind of people, maybe there's a way to build sort of something different, interesting, cool, using that, because I mean, ultimately, it's all running off of some kind of flavor of Unix, right? That's consistent regardless of what we're dealing with. But sorry, is there some? I never check Wikipedia before I start talking. Have announced
they've announced that it's becoming its end of life. So the BlackBerry 10 sort of technology is out. Yeah, I mean, basically, it's unfortunate, but they have gone to Android now, as you can tell. So, anyway, sorry, you're saying?
Yeah, it was a better, more sophisticated answer to what handheld, digital computing might look like. I still hope that somebody finds their way back to something like that, because frankly, what iOS and Android have in common is that they're totally competent gaming platforms, but trying to do actual work with them is garbage.
Well, I mean, you just said a moment ago exactly what the major issue is, that the ecosystem for any of the platforms is very complex for a very simple thing. So ultimately, as I point out to anyone who actually texts me without calling me, or they text me one of my pet peeve lines, "Can I call you right now?" I'm like, I don't know, can you? You can if you want. Like that is like my biggest pet peeve. If somebody has enough time to text me on a phone to my phone to ask me if they can call me at that very moment in time, I'm like, there's only one answer. Yeah, you can. And if you don't, I'm not calling you back. Like, I'm not calling you. You call me. You want to call me. You've sent me a text to ask me if you can. The last time I checked, there's no rules. And if I'm busy, I have this fancy device. It worked years and years to write this software. It's called voicemail. I mean, no one else has it, just me. So, I just got to put it out there. When you call me, there's this device that like answers the phone and says, "Sup, I ain't around. Leave a message and I'll call you back." Like, that's the thing. And I it's so weird to me that people,
crazy, right?
But even worse, they email me, "Can I call you right now?" It took you longer to write that email and click the send button than if you to dial the number, which I know is saved on the device that you probably sent the email from. And it's just one of my pet peeves.
Can I make a confession?
Mm-hmm.
You were mentioning voicemail. I think I might be the only person left in the world that still uses an answering machine.
Oh my God!
Like an actual device?
Yeah.
Answering machines are
like
awesome.
In your house right now.
Yes.
I own one.
Where is it? Is it
implemented it only because I don't have a landline? But the simple fact of the matter is, voicemail you can save up to, what is it, like 3 voicemails. Answering machines can save what, 20? 30?
Nobody phones me anymore. The only people who phone me now.
50, is it your 5411 number, right?
Oh, shut up.
All right. I'm calling it right now.
No, don't call it. Everybody's going to start coming running.
Well, you said no one calls on it, so let's see what happens.
Well, I know nobody calls on it. The only people who call on it are CRA scammers. And
So, question, Alan, why the hell do you keep it?
well, it's
Just
built.
because then you can say you have a.
It's built into the phone.
Hey, hang on.
I don't need a new phone.
Did you guys hear?
No. But my phone's not ringing.
It clicked. Well, I gotta say, Alan, your voicemail is broken.
Well, the phone never even rang, so I think you're dialing the wrong number, dude.
Oh, it's the number I've called you on 100 million times.
Yeah, I know. But the phone
Usually
never
your kids
rang.
answer it though. Yeah, well, there you go. Maybe it's actually not even plugged in. Like you don't even. It hasn't been used for so long.
Maybe the power's out.
That's very true. But I mean, well, actually, here's the strangest thing. I actually have 3 phone numbers. I have my cell phone, which is the one I primarily use. We have our home phone / business line, which just forwards to my cell phone. And I have a number in Victoria, which
You still have
forwards to
that?
my phone here. Oh yeah, I've had it since I was
Really?
13, I think.
Yeah. Oh my
When I
god!
moved here 20 years ago, my parents refused to give it up. So
I'm trying to remember what the number is.
If there was a White Pages, I'm still listed as living in Victoria.
Is it still
But,
listed as a teen line?
Well, hold on.
Yeah,
No.
it's like the smart ring thing.
Yeah.
But I heard. Here's the thing. I was on a video call with my sister the other day, and that phone rang, and I said I should forward that number here to my cell phone, so I have like yet another number that people can call me at.
It's probably just
so
the
weird.
CRA scammers.
Well, it primarily is. That's what I was told. So, but it does ring, and it's like, you know.
Hi, I'm
CRA.
looking for Nightline BBS. Is it still operating? Nightline BBS. I was
what's
sent
really
here
funny?
by Camelot.
Somebody emailed me about 4 or 5 months ago and asked me if I was interested in rebuilding Nightline as a virtualized BBS online, which I was like, I don't know, maybe, but then I decided it would be a stupid idea. But
If you did it, you'd have to put Trade Wars on it because I would play that game in a heartbeat.
Well, that was
okay.
actually well, the emulator actually has Trade Wars. It has like all the
Oh,
games,
really?
like, oh yeah. But I'll never forget. Actually, the best message I ever read on my own BBS from all those years ago was somebody actually took the time to write out a comparison of the lyrics to "Love Bites" by Def Leppard and not Billy Joel, a song by Sting. I've forgotten which song it was, but they were trying to like, the lyricism is so much better for Sting. Anyway, it was like probably the longest thread on that website on that BBS ever.
Yeah.
I had no idea until then that I had a lot of Def Leppard fans on my.
Hey, so I'm just sitting here thinking about something, looking at this can right here, and I figured I should mention something to you guys. So a lot of times when we're sitting here doing these things, we have these cans, and these cans have these like stuck-on labels on them.
Yeah.
And while we're talking, I often am just sitting here, and I have the can down below here, and I'm peeling the label off.
Oh, really?
And by the end of the show, it's completely off, and I have like a blank can that's left. And I just throw the blank can in the not in the garbage, in the recycling, and I throw the label in the garbage. My wife takes it to the recycling center, and the guy said, "Don't take the labels off the cans because apparently they can't reuse them."
What?
Yeah. he actually was kind of like, he sounded kind of exasperated about it because he gets a lot of like blank cans. Now, I guess they don't know how to sort them. They have, so like this can is going to go back to backcountry.
Really?
But they don't know to send it to backcountry if it doesn't have the label on it.
I would never have guessed that was a thing. I've actually never peeled the labels off.
That's not how I thought recycling worked, but okay.
Last
Wow.
time
Or
I
something
checked
like that. Anyway, they said do not take the labels off. So I just caught myself. I had this label half off, and I'm like, put it back.
Otherwise, backcountry's going to be down a can. You know, to be honest, if I worked at a recycling place, I would be one of those dudes that probably would do something like that just for fun. Hey, if you take the labels off, we can't get them back to the people that actually put the beer in them. So
Maybe. Well,
beer is going to become a premium if you do that.
Also, the beer cans are worth more than, say, pop cans. So if you take the label off, aside from smelling it, you don't know whether if it was like from like an alcohol container or not.
All right, boys, we got to guess. This one is beer. All right, it's an IPA. So send that to, I don't care, Phillips or whoever. What's this one? No, that's the Strychnine cans. We can't put that out there. Next.
A rule back in junior high where if you pulled off the tab intact, that was a fuck tag, and you could present that to a chick and be like, yeah, no, you got to sleep with me now.
What? I never heard this.
No?
I remember that there was some sort of fundraiser or something where they were collecting them or some such. I can't remember exactly what it was. But I've actually seen one of our neighbors has this chain that they have attached to their wallet that they put in their back pocket because they never left the 90s. And but the chain is actually made of the things. It's like 4 or 5 of these things in a row, and then they've connected them and connected, like they've made this huge chain, which is pretty cool. The thing is, it's actually really light, which is why they did it. They said, yeah, I used to have a chain, but the chain was really heavy and kind of annoying, and I you know, whatever. And I work in construction, and it keeps it keeps me from losing stuff, and my keys are on it, and da. And but yeah, so he did that. He did this really long, beer tab thing, and I was surprised at just how light it is. But it's it's very strong. So that's the only other thing I've ever seen beer tabs used for, except for maybe the odd craft here and there. But I don't know. I never really considered it, but I am guilty of taking them off because I know that when I'm hanging out with people, I tend to play with the can, and I eventually will and then it will break off, and then I just drop it in the can. But
yeah. Hey, Locke, I'm curious. Did you ever try the thing with the beer tabs and try and score?
Yeah, oh, totally. Yeah.
Did it ever work?
No.
Okay.
No.
I feel better now. Okay.
Yeah.
If it didn't work for you, it wouldn't have worked for me.
It was one of those ones like,
that is totally one of those things, right?
There was a full-on pause where it was sort of like she was figuring out whether or not this was a thing or not. She's like, no, that's not a thing. Okay, all right. But it sounded like a thing, didn't it?
Well, when you're 12, yeah, I guess.
12.
I mean, I'll I probably believed everything, like all that kind of garbage back in the day, but it's the rules. It's how these things work, right? Isn't that how it is?
Hey, that's not the wallet inspector.
Give me a keg of beer. We're getting old, boys. We're getting old.
Yeah. He says applying chapstick.
Yep, exactly. Which reminds me, not of chapstick, but somebody mentioned Discord earlier. We talked about Discord. We actually have a Discord channel, like a server. I'm just logging in to see if it still exists. Yeah, it's still there. Yes, so there you go. I don't know what we're going to do with it, but we have one. So if you want to join, I
I
guess.
see you
I
kitties
don't know.
on the Discord.
So here's a serious question. This is a beer show,
Yeah.
and we talk about beer here.
Yes.
Sometimes.
What is the best beer video game currently available? Best available.
Beer video
Best
game?
Beer video
game.
Beer.
I don't know if there's
video
any currently available.
Why not?
Because video games tend to appeal to kids.
With the exception of Tapper.
What are you talking
Oh,
about?
Tapper.
However,
Video games tend to appeal to kids. Says the 46-year-old, 7-year-old, 47-year-old, 48-year-old.
Oh, bless you.
he
Bless you,
doesn't
my
know
child.
that you've gone over.
Who owns a retro Star Wars video game, like not like full on,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you.
Yeah.
Plus, don't forget the pinball machine.
Yeah, right. So what I'm suggesting is, Brewmaster. Ooh, here we go. Yeah,
Okay.
Brewmaster.
Here we go. This just dropped a few months ago. Well, the trailer did. So it's an actual 3D environment for you to brew virtual beer.
Why would you do this?
Hey, look, they're putting in the hops. They're putting in the yeast. Brew your dream beer.
Why you could do it in reality?
The graphics are almost as bad as F-16 Strike Eagle was in 1986.
Yeah. The only other video game, and it wasn't necessarily.
Oh, they're selling their craft brew. Oh, wow.
It wasn't necessarily a beer video game, but Leisure Suit Larry at the time.
True.
That was
That's true.
that was the bee's knees.
Yeah. For Adult Swim video games, that I don't know. I don't know that there's been a. I mean, look. Let's be realistic. After about 2010, culture changed, and the idea that anything anymore was like discernibly innocent was gone. So now we live in a world where Game of Thrones action figures can be bought at Canadian Tire. So it's like, yeah, I mean, you're acting out your Joffrey scene where he's like shooting the hooker with his crossbow or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean,
There was a pinball machine that came out in the early 90s by Williams called Champions Pub. Shane, I don't know if you can bring up a graphic of Champions Pub pinball, but the whole premise was that you were in a pub and lots of drinking going on, and you were challenging people to fist fights in this bar. And there was this character in the middle of the table, and it would spin around. It was the same character looking thing every single time, but it was a different person. And while they're throwing punches at you, they would they'd be hiccuping because they were drunk and all that. It was kind of it's a fun little pinball table.
I guess that's the guy. One of the things you could like fight.
Yeah.
Or
do you have a graphic of the actual playfield?
Let's see. Pinball. Here we go. Oh wow. By the way, I am mad at you.
What?
Because I've been watching way too much of that stupid pinball repairing videos.
No, right?
on
It's pretty.
YouTube. It's addictive.
It
It's
is
like
so
the hoof
addictive.
carver guy. So there you go.
He's got such a great voice too.
But yeah, there you go. The Backboard Devil. By the way, when I did video game searching, I found some artist named Madison Beer. Don't know anything about them except that it looks like I don't know, weird singer. I'm not going to play it because
I think it's probably just a coincidence that their last name is Beer.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But anyway. So that pinball channel that you recommended last week or the week before, yeah, I've delved into that a bit too much.
Now, speaking of the pinball, before we go, so my pinball machine, you guys know that I have that. So Arcade 1-Up made 3 pinball machines at the same time.
Oh.
There was the one that I got, which was has a collection of 10 Bally Williams tables from like the late 80s, early 90s. There was another one. It was a Star Wars collection that had 10 sort of not classic tables, but they were newly made by Zen Pinball. And another one, a Marvel one that was also had new creations from Zen Pinball. Anyway, they just released patches for each of those tables, but there's a bit of an exploit with them that there's actually a way that you can download the content of all 3 tables onto your one. So I have the one with the Bally Williams that's got 10 tables, and now I'm going to try to sideload all the tables from the Star Wars and the Marvel into it as well. And I'm kind of
That'd be
looking
cool.
forward to that.
By the way, just to end off really quickly here for you boys, I skipped ahead a little bit, and this was the frame that it stopped on. This is Madison Beer.
Oh.
I guess it's this person in the middle. So there you go. I don't know anything about her other than her last name is Beer, so therefore she's probably worth listening
Julian
to.
would probably like her.
Most likely. Okay, I have to close all of these things and also these silly channels. The channel that I've been talking about had just also popped up because I guess they must be repairing that particular one. Really? Chug the Beer video game. Cool.
Huh?
Anyway, on that note, boys and girls, thank you all for watching. We've had a bunch of people online today. We are glad you've been around, and we hope we haven't bored you too much, but that's okay, because we don't care. It's all Dave's fault. But anyway, we'll be back next week, of course, Wednesday nights, around 9 o'clock Pacific Standard, and we also have Twitter, Facebook, all the fancy places you can go and check us out. And, of course, if you really do get lost, hey, we have a Discord now, so there you go. Dave's running it, so hopefully he'll let you in when you make your request. So thanks for that, Dave. Thank you for supporting the channel. And as always, Alan, take us out.